Oh, look, that's been my argument for some time now. I do feel it's appropriate this time for the Queensland government to consider bringing down the whole border. We can't be complacent, and we always know that we're only a few days off from another outbreak, but so is Queensland. We're all in the same situation, and I feel, given where we are in the pandemic, given that people do want to plan ahead for the school holidays, but also for Christmas and reuniting with family, I would like to see that border come down entirely, and I've made that position very clear. But I think it's also appropriate for us to be mindful on our communities living on those northern borders, and many people have been doing it tough. And I really want to say to them, please know that you're not out of mind. We appreciate how difficult the last period has been for you, and I would argue unnecessarily so.
Jeanette Young references 28 days of no community transmission as a means to unlock that border. But what's your understanding of their definition of community transmission? Is it no locally acquired cases or no locally acquired cases that have no known source?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the definition is, but I know that either way it's a very difficult benchmark. It's an extremely difficult benchmark, and we've even seen with a jurisdiction like New Zealand, where they shut down their entire economy a couple of times, they still had cases. Whilst the pandemic exists on the planet, we will get cases. But it's a question about how you handle those cases. Do you have the capacity to get on top of it? Do you have the capacity to make sure it doesn't spread? And I think we've demonstrated in New South Wales a capacity to do all those things. I'm not suggesting we won't have challenges. I'm not suggesting we won't have setbacks. We will. But so might any of the other states, especially as they're welcoming additional Australians. We know the numbers of people in quarantine will be going up around the nation, and that always increases risk. But given where we are and given our capacity to be able to deal with the community transmission, I don't feel that borders, apart from the Victorian border because of the unique situation in Victoria, I don't feel any other border should exist around the nation. And we do have to accept that setbacks will occur. There are going to be days when we do get outbreaks. There are going to be times when many states might go through these challenges, and especially New South Wales, given our population. And given what we've been through, and given the fact that we'll be welcoming back 3,000 overseas travellers from next week, that's a big job. So the risk is always there, but the question is, how do you manage that risk, and how do you balance it up against all the other important things, such as taking care of your citizens, making sure they can reunite with families. I mean, I think it's sad to think that families at Christmas will be separated when borders could potentially be up unnecessarily. Yeah, we announced in recent days, I think it was last week, a change to the health orders. So essentially a lot of what Victorians can do in New South Wales has been relaxed in terms of those border communities. We increased the number of cities or townships that are included in that definition of a border community. So we're seeing the gradual relaxation of that border. But that will really depend on the health advice as to where we go. But I also know, as Dr. Chant said yesterday, and I completely appreciate why she expressed this, and I support her. That's right. We don't have to vote, yeah. I completely support her, and that is that we do want to make sure that we see what happens in Victoria once the restrictions are eased, especially around Melbourne, and that will determine how quickly we can bring down that border. Yeah, I mean, our border authorities, the ADF and the police are having conversations about that, and I'll be able to update you once I've got an update from them. But we're certainly, so long as Melbourne is precluded from coming to New South Wales, we still have that challenge of managing those checkpoints, because people will try and drive and come across the border. So that's a challenge, but we're working our way through it, and I'm feeling more optimistic every day. Well, look, that's a very difficult situation. Of course, we want to make sure that people have access to the airlines, but we can't ignore what they've been through. I mean, I just want to see all our airlines survive. And I think all of us appreciate the challenges that industry is going through. I've got friends that have lost their jobs in the airline industry. I have a friend, a very close friend, who's worked in one airline for more than 20 years and was stood down. And these are the kind of stories many people, thousands of people have gone through. So I appreciate the challenging situation our airlines have. And I think that's why it's really important for us to bring down those borders. It will increase domestic travel. It will increase tourism and hopefully bring back some of those jobs.